Welcome to another Hayley-Roxanna crafts video. In my last video I showed you how to do standard full cross stitches and petite stitches on Evenweave fabric. So in this video I'm going to show you how to do the partial stitches on Evenweave, so your quarter and 3/4 stitches. But first I'm going to remind you how I represent these stitches on my charts to make it as easy as possible for you to know when you need to use a quarter stitch or a 3/4 stitch. On other people's charts you may need to read the instructions to decide which ones to use. You may even need to make that decision for yourself. So this is how the quarter stitches are shown on my colour and black and white charts. As you can see, they are shown by a square in the corner where the quarter stitch needs to be. On the colour charts, the square is coloured in, which does make it even easier to distinguish. Be aware that on some charts, this would be how the petite stitches are indicated. So it's always worth reading instructions before you start a project, just to make sure that you have understood which stitches are required and how they are shown in the chart. This is how the 3/4 stitches are shown on my charts. As you can see, the symbol is in the corner where the 3/4 stitch needs to be. Again, the coloured charts make it even clearer as you get a coloured triangle in the corner. So I've got a piece of Evenweave fabric here. And I've already got a needle threaded up, ready to go, and I've actually put one cross on there already. But I will remind you how we do the full crosses on the Evenweave, because if you remember from the last video, we actually stitch over 2 threads. So this means that each square of fabric that's equivalent to a square on the chart actually has 9 holes, not the 4 like when you're stitching it on Ada. So stitching a cross stitch, if I just show you another one next to here, we come up there. Now your squares, equivalent to the square on your chart, is going to be this little bit here, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 up. So it's this little square. Okay, as you can see, there's the 9 holes. So when we're doing a full cross, you're going to travel diagonally and you're going to skip that hole and go down into the next one. Okay, so then when you're coming up to do your cross the other way, you're going to skip a hole and come up in the one underneath, and then you skip that middle hole and go down in the one after it, like so, to make your cross. So now we can look at how to do the quarter stitches on the Evenweave fabric. So if we are going to do a quarter stitch in the top left hand corner first, you need to look for your 9 holes that make your square equivalent to the square on the chart, and you want to come up in the middle hole like so. Okay, so that's our 9, and then to go into the quarter stitch in the top left hand corner, you will go down in the hole just to the left, diagonally left of the middle, like so. So if we're now going to do a quarter stitch into the top right hand corner, if I take my next set of 9 squares, you would come up in the middle square and go down into the corner. Now to do a quarter stitch in the bottom left corner, you would come up in your bottom left hole of your square, your 9 hole square, and then go down into the middle, like so. And then to do your quarter stitch in the bottom right corner, you would come up into the bottom right hole of your 9-hole square and go down into the middle hole, like so. And there's all your quarter stitches. Again, like when you're stitching on Ada, you can choose to come up in the middle and go down in the corner, or come up in the corner and go down in the middle. It doesn't really matter. It's just a personal preference thing. But also, this is where stitching on the Evenweave fabric can actually be an advantage over stitching on Ada, because you've already got all the holes there, so you no longer have to try and force a hole into the middle of the square in order to make the quarter stitch. So now if we look at how to do the 3/4 stitches on Evenweave, if we start with a 3/4 stitch in the top left corner of your square, so we take our 9-hole square as before, and I've already brought my thread up through the bottom left corner. So I want to do my half stitch first, so I need to skip the middle hole and go down into the top right corner of my 9-hole square. And then I need to do the quarter stitch to finish this, so I need to come up into the middle hole, like so, and go down into the top left corner. Now, if I want to do a 3/4 stitch in the top right corner, I'm going to skip a bit so we can space these out to see a bit clearer. So if I take my next 9-hole block, I'm going to come up in the middle hole, like so, and down into the top right corner and make the quarter stitch first, and then come up in the bottom right of my 9-hole square, and then skip that middle and go down into the top left, and there's my 3/4 stitch in the top right corner. Now if I want to do a 3/4 stitch in the bottom left, I would come up in the bottom left corner of my 9-hole square and go down into the middle of it, like so, and then come up in the bottom right corner, right hole, and then down into the top left hole. And then to do a 3/4 in the bottom right, again I would come up in the bottom left hole, skip the middle hole and down into the top right to form the half, and then up in the bottom right hole, and this time go down in the middle hole to finish off that stitch, like so. You can choose to do the half stitch and then the quarter, or the quarter then the half. It's a personal preference thing which way round you do them. It doesn't really matter as long as the full 3/4 stitch itself is in the right corner of the square for the chart. Again, stitching this on Evenweave is actually easier than when you're doing it on Ada, as you don't need to pierce the middle of your square in order to make the quarter stitch. So again, Evenweave could be considered an advantage when doing your 3/4 stitches. So that's how to do quarter and 3/4 stitches on Evenweave fabric. Personally, I like using the quarter and 3/4 stitches, as I find it makes the edges of shapes much cleaner. But I know some people don't like them, or even just that bit scared of using them, which is why I try to make it as easy as possible for you to distinguish which stitches you need to use in my charts. All the charts I've designed so far have only been stitched on Ada fabric, but they could just as easily be stitched on Evenweave fabric if you wanted to give it a go. When I've completed a project on Evenweave fabric, because as I've said before, I've never actually done a whole project on Evenweave, I will make another video sharing any tips that I've found, problems I've had and how I've solved them to try and help. But if you've got any hints and tips for stitching on Evenweave, please pop them into the comments. And likewise, if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments too, and I'll do my best to find an answer for you. I'll also put links below to any of the items that I've used in this video. And that's it for this time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!